This podcast is for a mature audience and may be viewed as inappropriate or insensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised. The intention is to share conversation of like and unlike-minded individuals as they try to be the best them they can be in a life full of challenges, searching for love, acceptance, and positivity. Call 669-241-1422 and share yourself or catch up with SweetBaby Jay for an anonymous face-to-face interview. Feel free to call in with questions, stories, thoughts, or anything you would love to talk about and share. Nothing is off the table when talking sweet with SweetBaby Jay at 669-241-1422.
Ladies and gents and ladies, once again, you are here talking sweet with SweetBaby Jay. As always, it's a no face, no case scenario. But luckily, we have these two beautiful people here that have the opportunity to share or not their name. Are you guys going to share?
Of course, share, man. Al.Infinite, live in the flesh, live from Atlanta. On my way to pick a stack worldwide.
I feel you, Playboy, putting it out there, young lady.
Hi, Kelly, author, writer, poet. Let's get into it.
Oh, snap. She said, let's get into it. We have this song here. All right, I'm going to play this song for you guys. And we going to see because he's not playing with this song. All right, so we're going to let it play. After that, we're going to talk about it. We want to see where was your mind at?
Right.
Oh.
I don't even care. I don't even care. Things are quickly changing. We ain't really there. When I lay next to you, I ain't even there. Lost in my thoughts that have me everywhere. When you get undressed, I don't even stare. I hear a lot of words, but I ain't really there. I ain't really there. I ain't really there. And I don't really care. If it wasn't for my kids, I swear I would've split. If it wasn't for the kids, I wouldn't take your shit. Can't watch child support take half my grip. Just a couple reasons why I sip and sit. When you run your lips, all I do is fantasize about the way she kiss. Waiting for the next moment I can get to hit. But until then, I just sip and sit. I don't even care. I don't even care. Things are quickly changing. We ain't really there. When I lay next to you, I ain't even there. Lost in my thoughts that have me everywhere. When you get undressed, I don't even stare. I hear a lot of words, but I ain't really there. I ain't really there. I ain't really there. And I don't really care. My boy thinks I'm sprung. You acting like you young. The way you talk about her, you think that she the one. The way she makes me feel, makes me wanna run and never come back like a bird in the sun. But then I think about how this would hurt everyone. Think about the judge that would have all my funds. Send me back to mama basement with no one. Watching all my mans judge me and poke fun. That's why I'm on the sofa, letting my mind run. Just waiting on a text to let me know that it's on. Thinking about a way to slide out and get gone. I just caught her text while making a store run. I don't even care. I don't even care. Things are quickly changing. We ain't really there. When I lay next to you, I ain't even there. Lost in my thoughts that have me everywhere. When you get undressed.
Damn, yo. Yo, my dude, you put that out for Valentine's Day? Hello?
Yeah. Pardon me. Yeah. Now I threw it out for Valentine's Day. Yeah, I thought it was just that was more for shock value. You know what I mean? Like, you know, on a day like Valentine's, when people are celebrating happiness in their relationships, you know, I just kind of wanted to just like throw a little sour in the drink. You know,
I feel you. Listen, it's the reality of so many people's lives on different sides of that spectrum right there. Young lady, how do you feel about hearing this song?
I was taking a couple of little notes, just, a couple little things stood out to me. I thought we could discuss.
Oh, please do. What stuck out to you?
Well, first of all, one of the first lines when he said, when she gets naked, he doesn't even stare. And I was thinking about how people say, like, for women, when women cheat, that it's mental Like, we leave relationships emotionally first, mentally first, before we are physically able to be with another person. And I was thinking about that for men when he said that. And then the other part that he said that struck out, but also bothered me, because I feel like a lot of people do this. And it's kind of a poor practice, which is, if it wasn't for the kids, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be here. And it's like, people always say that they stayed for the kids. And when you stay for the kids, you model that toxicity. You model that lack of love. You model that broken relationship. So I'm all about leaving for the kids, so that the kids have a chance at being able to sustain and have a healthy relationship when they get older, and not think that the dysfunction that they saw, because people will say that they don't even think that kids can see, but kids can see when they see that mental, like, if you and that person are not mentally connected anymore, or that intimacy is broken, they see it and they feel it, and they internalize it.
How you feel about that, man? She got another one? Okay, go ahead.
My last note, my last note was the entrance of the mistress or the extra person, and how that became an escapism for the relationship. So it's like, you have all these different things happening in the actual relationship, but then instead of actually facing them or dealing with them, you've created a fantasy or an escape to not deal with them. And how much additional Jay's a master editor, so it's gonna be great. How much additional stress and strain that puts on the already fractured relationship, because now you can't even be present emotionally or physically to put in any work that may be required to potentially save the relationship.
What's your response, man? Because I got some things I may want to say.
First off, I really appreciate the insight that you're, and I'm glad that you received the record in that fashion, because that's exactly from the premise that I wrote the record from. Now, just as a disclaimer, I write music. A lot of times people think that when they hear something coming from an artist, that necessarily is directly related to them. I take my content from all aspects of life. So that song could have come from conversations years ago with a friend of mine that could have been going through a tough situation. That record could have came from a bad relationship I could have been in years ago.
We all know somebody that been through something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt like when I heard the record, the track, that's what kind of came out of me, was I wanted to write a song just coming from the male perspective, because a lot of times the music, especially like R&B type music, you always hear like a woman's perspective, like how she's been done dirty, or like, how, and I just wanted to just give a different perspective from a male's point of view about being in a relationship.
But wouldn't you say that here he is actually doing his girl dirty?
Here's the deal, right? I don't really allude too much about what's really going on. A lot of that, what's going on, you're going to see it in the video when it comes out.
Okay.
What I'm basically alluding to here is that, look, this man is clearly trapped. Okay. And something to piggyback on what the young lady said, he wants to leave. But I stress a key thing in the song is that child support, economic, being half, and not being able to possibly sustain a good quality of life after doing the right thing, which should be to leave, is why I know personally a lot of men stay in relationships, because they can't afford what comes with severing a relationship, especially when there's kids involved. You understand? Because most of the time, if the mom is fit, typically the kids stay with the mom, which means that the man will have to pay child support and then figure out how to piece back the rest of his life. And so a lot of times you find that men just stay because they can't afford to sustain their own selves after a relationship goes awry.
The economic earthquake that comes with leaving a relationship with kids is unbearable. You can't call FEMA for that. You can't call FEMA.
Well, that's why they say it's cheaper to keep her. But I have amendment to that, because I think that people say that, and that's why when you have a certain amount of money, it doesn't really matter, right? So like Jeff Bezos and his wife broke up, and he was just like, boom, here's what, $300 million.
That's
like,
a
I don't
whole,
care.
that is not even that's not even a person that we should be discussing. Like,
No. but I'm using that for an illustration purpose, right? So
Okay.
the reason, so then when you're not Jeff Bezos, okay, when you don't have a lot of money on the table, you have to consider and understand why you got married in the first place. What was the true purpose of being married? What's the value of being married in this society if you're broke? So if you're not at a certain economic point and you merge your life with somebody else, then you got to make sure it's an all or nothing type of bet. You can't really, there's not a lot of room for error because of what you're talking about. And if the separation and the requirement of paying alimony or child support is so overwhelming to you, or not a feasibility, then you have to consider, well, what was the original intention of the relationship? Because you can have almost everything in a marriage without actually legally, without going through the process of being married, but then you can still have child support, right? So what you have to consider the value of the union and the value and the knowledge of both people that are the identity and the authenticity of both people that are in the relationship.
I really feel like you was just reading my mind when you said that, because we're talking a lot about marriage and a relationship and a possible marriage coming to an end, but not everybody's married that have kids. So
Right. I wanted to just say, this record is not per se coming from a perspective of a man who's married. It's just coming from a perspective of a man who's just in a relationship that has children, per se. So it could just be two people who are boyfriend and girlfriend, who may not be married. So this wasn't written from just the perspective of, I know it could be taken as maybe this sounds like a married person, but no, this is just a person who's just in a relationship. Because like you said, whether or not you are married or unmarried, when you choose to have a child with a woman, the financial responsibilities are there regardless if you're married or not. And if an unmarried man chooses to leave the relationship, there's still that child support that he may have to pay and be obligated to.
You know
if
something?
the woman chooses to take him to child support.
I feel that with what you're saying as far as with this song, and I just feel that this is a reason why people shouldn't really be having children unless you're married. You can love somebody all you want. You have plans to get married after the child is born. Me personally, I don't agree with that, because when you're with someone and a child is born, that's when the tricky times start.
Absolutely.
I never really understood why is it that so many people, when I was growing up, once a child was introduced into the picture, the relationship went left. And I never could understand it. And I didn't understand that until I started having kids. It gets challenging. And when you're not married, it's just that easy to walk away. There will be a financial uppercut, but it's easier to walk away. That commitment is not there when you're not married, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that. I know people that have been unmarried and living together and raising their families for years and are way more committed than some people that I know that are actually married.
True.
So I think that it goes back to the origin and the character of the people that are involved, because every breakup in every situation does not end up in a man's pockets being empty. There are situations that end up in the man becoming a single dad and getting his kids. Right. There are situations that don't end up in a child support arrangement at all, because the two people are so connected that even though they're not going to be together anymore, they're able to say, I came into the situation with X, Y, and Z. You came in with A, B, C. When the kids are with you, you do this, we do that, and they just make it work. Now, I'm not going to say, especially in the Black community, that I know 50 people in those types of idealistic situations, but I do know that it exists and it's possible. Oh, yeah. So it really comes down to who you decide to procreate with to begin with.
Absolutely. Right. It is a matter of choose wisely.
Definitely. And sometimes, try to do the best you can. You hope for the best, and a lot of men, sometimes, from what I've observed, you think you have a good thing going, but somewhere along the line, because people are human, people are entitled to change, people are entitled to evolve and grow differently or change. That's the thing. People change. So the record is clearly written from the perspective of, at one point, obviously, this man was happy, but then he wakes up and he's finding himself in this hard place where he's just realizing that he's no longer happy. And then basically now, even in the second verse, he's thinking about the impact if he chose to leave, how many people would be hurt by it. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically written from a perspective of a man who's trapped. He realizes that his departure could affect more than just himself, but other people. And so he just turns to finding anything or anyone that can give him some inspiration to still keep going. That's kind of the perspective that I wrote it. I know
often, when you're in a relationship, and I'm actually talking from experience, you're in a relationship and it's going through those rocky times and you want out, but yet you still going for whatever reason. I'm not talking about my current relationship because I'm not trying to get shot, but past relationships, when you're there, you're doing the arguing. Hell, even for me, I was laying next to one of my exes and thinking about somebody else because it's just, everything was just not rolling smooth. So I 100% feel it. And there were no kids involved, thank God. But that breakup phase when you're really not feeling a person, and often people, when they're ending a relationship, they're already usually prepping for the next relationship. People just use it like a lily pad, from one to the next. Mm-hmm. I've been there, bro, and I get it.
Now, let me ask the young lady something. Aside from extracting it from a conversation piece, just in terms of just the creativity and just the song itself, how did the song resonate with you when you just heard it?
Well, obviously, I'm a creator, so I look at art in different ways, and I definitely see the value in it. Musically, if I'm being honest, it's not not something that I'll be like, oh, let me find it and listen to it. But if it came on, I wouldn't necessarily turn it off. But I definitely think it has value to start conversations or get people beat up, whichever way.
and the beat up part, a friend of mine told me, she was like, this is going to, if people really take the time to listen to this is going to cause a lot of guys some grief, because the lady's going to listen to this song and wonder,
are they the one?
Is that how my man feels? You know what I mean? Like, is that how you feel for real? Like, is he talking? Especially the ones that know me, they might have even had a couple of questions asked to them, like, is this you that he's writing about? Because not all of the scenarios in that song, as I told you, relate to me. So now they're looking, well, that's not him. So you're the one with the kids. You're the one that's, hey, it was a record. I was inspired by the track. And when I write music, I don't have a song already created in my mind, and then and then look for a track. The track dictates what comes out of me. That's kind of how I create. Yeah.
Mr. Infinite. Your artwork, I've heard several of your songs. Okay. You're very passionate about it, and you've been doing it for quite a while. But how do you feel when you put out what you feel is prime work? You put in your heart into it, and yet it's not perceived or it's not accepted. Like, what are those struggles like in growing in the record industry? How has that been for you?
Well, first and foremost, writing music for me, I don't write for money. So I don't have those pressures of necessarily having to make the next hit, or pressures of a label that's saying, look, if you don't do X amount of sales or X amount of this and that. No. So I write music from the perspective because I just like to write music. So when I decided to really start taking it serious and start really formulating and getting better with my songwriting, putting out records, this is more for me. And if you happen to like it and feel it, then that's my gift to you. You understand what I'm saying? So when I write the music, I just write it. I'm not really concerned about, per se, how many people gravitate to it or not. But if there are people who gravitate to it, all the better. That's kind of my.
So you're a career guy. You have a career field. A 9-to-5 type job.
Listen, yeah, I work in radiology, but on top of that, I don't like to even call myself a career person because I have many interests. You know, I'm kind of involved in a lot of different businesses. So I kind of like to use the cliche terms as I hustle. That's what it is.
Yeah,
as
I feel you. Yeah.
Radiology is a type of it's a hustle. Yeah. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So I have many different things that I actually do. The music to me is it just captures the essence of my grind. So when I take a moment to write something or I'm inspired to write something, whether I catch a vibe when I'm on a plane flying to here or going there or going here, I just have now a way that I can capture that moment and put it out in a record.
But what I think is dope about that is that you have your hustle, let's just say your 9-to-5 hustle. And then you have a creative way to express yourself. A lot of people, you know, they're in their 9-to-5 or 10 to 12, whatever shift they're working. You know, they get their overtime, whatever, and they find themselves to be in a miserable place because that's all they're doing. But you're actually creatively expressing yourself, you know, through your form of art. And I just really feel that creates a nice balance. And Keon, she actually works in the arts as well, writing. She has a song out, and it's beautiful because you get that leverage in life. Am I correct in saying that?
I would think I was born a creator, and I think that work is just, I look at it the opposite way. So I look at myself as a creator first, and then I look at work as something that I do to survive, basically. So I don't I'm not tied to a job in that regard, because I do believe that it's my art and my creativity that actually sustains and carries me. And there's so many things that I do that I don't share with the world, that I do like just because they give me joy creatively. I'm working on a project now that's going to be my first actual mixed media art project. And it's huge because I'm not actually a painter or someone that I would consider would do something like that. But when you're a creator, it's just like you just move around different genres, different things, whatever speaks to you. So there's so many different things that I do, and all of them are not for sale.
It's crazy. So you're a writer. One of the things that you do, correct? That's correct. I think that people, when they even imagine a writer, they just imagine probably a bookworm, someone that's just there typing away. When you have this perception of a rapper, you just probably imagine someone just out here slinging guns and running wild through the streets, but yet that's neither of you two personalities, or is it?
Well, from my perspective, see, I don't like to call myself a rapper, even though I choose rap as a way of getting my message out, because there are other genres of music that I do want to tap into, not per se necessarily performing the actual song. So I understand it's easy to say, oh yeah, he raps, so that's what he does. But actually, I want to tap into writing other kinds of songs like R&B music, this and that. But I'm more like long term, more want to focus on being like a bona fide songwriter of many different genres. That's kind of like where I like to go with things. Because like I said, you know, it's not just, like, I don't care. To an extent, I don't know if that's a rap song. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of, you know, like that to me could be kind of like in between, like a slight R&B you know, so
I'm gonna agree with you on that.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I played it for a couple of my friends, and they're like, "Yo, this is like an R&B song." You know what I mean? You're talking about this, talking about relationships, the way you're delivering the vocals, and you're kind of doing like a light singing to it. So I don't want to box myself as an artist. I just want to create. If I hear something, I just want to create. I just want to organically write how the track makes me feel. And if it comes out as a rap song, then that's what it is. If it comes out as a hybrid song, I'll take that as well. So I'm more patterning myself to more focusing on learning and becoming better at songwriting for many different genres.
Well, I was actually not listening. I was watching one of my favorite shows there, Blackish. And one of the recent episodes, they were talking about hip hop is dead or rap is dead. How do you feel about that from both of you?
Well, I mean, I'll just jump in. For me, well, because, you know, when you've been alive long enough to see different stages of the music from where it was when I was growing up to what it is today, I mean, I think that today's music is okay. You have some artists that are definitely strong in their creativity. I wouldn't say it's dead. It's definitely changed, though. It's definitely changed. And that's cool because nothing stays the same. So I just think that it's definitely evolving into something different. And I actually embrace it. You know what I mean? I actually embrace it. So I wouldn't say hip hop is dead. It's definitely changed, especially if you're in your mid 30s to 40s. It definitely doesn't sound the way hip hop sounded when you were 20. You see what I'm saying? But I embrace it because it's still melodic. It's still poetry. It still flows. It's still the same elements. It just sounds different.
I feel you. What do you feel about that?
The world, I was going to say the world is not the same as it was in the 20s, and when we in our 20s. So I think that it's fair to say that the music is a reflection of the world that we're currently in. We're currently in a world of technology. We're in a world of information. We're in a world of social media, and the music reflects that. I think that just like during the time when hip hop first emerged, and I stay with hip hop as opposed to rap, but when hip hop first emerged, it was almost like a secret society. It was like a cult of the underground, urban community. And it was something that was personal to every Black kid from every urban area. It's like our thing. And it was not ever supposed to do what it's done and become what it's become. And so it's like, it's comparatively, allegedly, I don't use drugs, but allegedly, when you use heroin, you spend the rest of your time being high, trying to chase the very first high that you ever experienced. Oh, yeah. And so what I would say about hip hop music currently is that it's like trying to chase the first high. We're never going to have that first moment again. Yeah. It's never going to be the hip hop of the 80s or even the early 90s, because the world is not the same. The people are not the same. The children that are, the people that are doing the music are the children of people who are not the same as the people who were doing the music. You know what I mean? So everything has evolved and changed. Do I think that there's still quality? Absolutely. Right now, I'm in love with Toby. I'm in love with Phil, J. Cole. There's so many different people that are not just elevating hip hop, as far as I'm concerned, but they're also elevating the business of hip hop and music. And that for me is even bigger than the art form, because they're not going to be broke in 40, in 30 years, and not going to die without leaving a legacy. And so to me, while we don't have the 80s, we don't have the Fat Boys, we don't have various things that were priceless to us coming up. Right now, what we have is even bigger, because we have actual generational wealth and legacies being left in something that we started. So that's phenomenal to me.
I'm going to have to say, I've never thought of it as a drug, but that's dope. You said it, chasing that first high. That was deep right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So many of the new rappers compare themselves to, or want to be, you'll hear people want to talk about being on the top 10, but so many of the young rappers, they want to be in that top 10. They want to be in that top 3. You'll hear them constantly say, well, I'm the new Nas, or I'm the new Biggie, or I'm in the top 3 with Biggie and Jay-Z, or whatever. And so that the energy and the respect and the love for the blueprint and the origin of what they're doing now is there. But it's never going to be replicated in the same way that it was delivered when it came, when it first came. But you see remnants of it, how the clothes, how people will do the clothes and the different fads and the hair and different things like that. But it's not like the 80s, it's just,
not at all.
We can't top breakdancing. It can't top flat,
that stuff still
flat
exists
with design.
Well, it's crazy that the more things change, the more they stay the same. A big thing I like saying. But I'm just happy that I got you two fun people here talking just about the culture.
The culture's always going to be, man.
Yeah.
The culture's always going to be. The culture's always going to be the lifestyle. The lifestyle breeds the music. I mean, for me, especially for hip hop rap. So if you live an active lifestyle, I mean, you're constantly putting new stimuluses in your pathways that's going to keep inspiring thought that you want to write and create music with. So, I mean, definitely that's what kind of inspired me to get back into this. Because you reach a point where you're like, you know what, man, I want to live this kind of lifestyle. And once you start living it, it's like you start having so much things that come to your mind, and that's what kind of inspired me to just start taking the music seriously. Because it's like, look, there's a lane for every genre, for every type of artist. There's a lane. There's a lane because there's an ear. There's billions of ears out there, and trust me, you're going to grab a couple of them.
You know what kills me,
though? They're going to support you.
What kills me about rap, hip-hop is that back in the days, it was just nobody was feeling it. You couldn't hear it anywhere. Now you're hearing it in all kinds of commercials.
Worldwide.
It's because there's a financial aspect to it, I feel. You guys, how do you feel about that?
Technology, like she said, the technology is making hip-hop accessible. The technology that we have today is what's making hip-hop even become global, because now, because of these social media platforms and everything, billions of people are on them. It's easy. I think now it's easier to get your music out now and to be an artist today than it was 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, because of the fact that the barriers of entry are so low to actually get into the music. Now, it's all about you. It's all about you making yourself relevant enough and for you to attract your audience, because there's an audience. There's a huge audience out there for hip hop worldwide. That's why on my way to Biggest Stacks worldwide, because, you may not feel my music, but guess what? Somebody out there is.
Let me ask you
and
this.
Guess what? They're going to be able to grab it.
Yeah.
They're going to be able
Wait, I wanted to say something.
Sure, go ahead.
I wanted to say something. I wanted to speak on the fact that I was looking at something the other day, and it's these young rappers, not only are the game has been changed. So there's always been money in hip hop from the onset of hip hop, which is why the 360 contracts and the way that the business was set up for the artist not to win, because it's always been money available. But the way that the young artists have elevated and cracked the code to the point that they are able to get the lion's share of the money. So if you I think about it like this. Back in the day, people used to stand in line at the record stores to get the new album that was coming out, right? You had to be there. The DJs would be with all these crates. People don't even really buy music like people used to buy music back in the day. You haven't seen a CD cover or cover art or anything for an album like talking about it in forever. But these young artists are constantly flashing cash. One young artist, he just bought a jet. Like, I don't even think Latifah, Queen Latifah or like MC Light has a jet. This young chick that's probably been in the game for 5 years bought a jet. So it shows you, and it comes from streaming. So streaming has changed the way people are able to monetize their art. It's changed the way people are able to reach audiences. The young man who ended up dying of an overdose, Little Pump, he got like international success. He was like famous in Russia, and all of that is from social media. And which is why all these platforms and the ways that we use them are really important to how we advance the culture. But we're always going to be the root of the culture. Like, that's period. That's forever.
So to piggyback on what you said, that's why today the game is more accessible to more artists, because the barriers are just much lower now. As long as you can build yourself and have your brand and have your followers, once you have your following, then you have your market to market whatever it is you want to market to your followers, whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be whatever. So, and you could build that. That's you building it yourself. That's all organic, because like I said, the music is just a file. You upload it, that's it. It's there. Now, all you got to do is just focus on attracting people to yourself, to your brand, and then there you go. Then now they have something that they could also tap into. Oh, let me see what this guy's all about. Oh, he has music. Boom. Let me still take a look and listen to that. Oh, he has merch. Boom. And so, like I said, the game is different, but the game is different in a good way, though. It's much better today, because back then it was a lot. It was very physical. It was very industrious. You had to have lots of money to produce millions copies of a record or a disc. Like, it's easier now. So,
well,
I mean, I think that
let me ask you this. I go to Miami, right? And for some reason, every time I'm out there, I got somebody approaching me with a CD that they trying to sell, support my music. And
Right.
it's strange when that's happening. Now, people are like, yo, scan my QR code. But
Yes, sir.
how do you feel about that hustle?
What, the CD?
Well, people just really out on the streets grinding, trying to get their stuff out.
Branding yourself and getting yourself out there, networking, things like that. It's all good. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about using putting your music in the physical sense, like CDs. Some people are doing it still because they still claim that there's still a niche for people still wanting physical music. But I mean, the QR codes, that's the way to go. I mean, that's where the game is. So I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, the more technically savvy you are, the higher chances you have to actually win in music, I feel. And of course, yourself, your aura, your energy, your lifestyle, what you're showing and portraying and just who you are as a person. If people feel that, that's it. If people feel you as a brand, as an entity, they like what you do. They like the things you say, like whatever you're about. If people feel it, that's it. Everything else is just tap this link, follow me here. And that's really, I mean, I think it's easier, but you still got to put the work in though.
True.
You still got to put the work in.
And the more you're able to, and also the more you're able to cut the middleman out.
More for
and
you.
I think that's what the younger people have definitely sorted out and figured out is how do I get more of it towards, how do I get more of the money? To me, directly to me. And that's huge. And a lot of that requires a lot of hands-on. That, is hard to do when you're also trying to work a 9-to-5 or, whatever. But when you're young and you still have options, it's a little bit easier.
I bet. Listen, I just really wanted to say thank you guys for coming, talking sweet. It's always a no face, no case scenario, but you guys are artists out here promoting yourselves, getting your brands out to the world. Would you guys like to share where you can be found?
Yeah, it was Al.Infinite. Listen, on my way to bigger stacks worldwide. Catch me on all major platforms. It's Al.Infinite, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. Everything's out. SoundCloud, Al.Infinite.
You, young lady?
Kai Kelly, author _Kai_Kelly on Instagram, which is my primary place. And of course, my link in the bio has everything Kai, which includes my book, which is called Love Kai, which is available on Amazon. My single, which is called It Was All a Blur, with Enoch Lavi and the Indigenous Soul Tribe, as well as all my other little things that I'm into. I shouldn't say other little things, but all my things that I'm into, my blog write-ups, my articles, things of that nature.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to have to say your single there is pretty dope. I told you that. I really like it. Ladies, gents, thank you guys for the time, the patience, being just black and sexy. I appreciate you. Ladies and gents and ladies, we out.
That's about it.